So one of the things that you can start to look at once you get this thing up and running is a more proactive wellness type program. What you have when you have 1,000 employees is this, like I said, credibility before. When you start to invest back into the group, start to get the employees healthy and put resources into that, really that's where you're going to start to see some positive results as far as what the renewals look like. It's tough when I go out and speak to a lot of groups that have, let's say, 10 employees. It's tough for them to, unless they want to shell out money, to take a proactive approach into helping their employees be healthy, because there's not a strict ROI on that, right? You don't really know, okay, based on my employees, here's what the presenteeism level is at right now, here's where I want to minimize, or at least have people be aware to do their physicals, that kind of thing. When you start to get bigger, then you can start to take a more, the organization can start to take a more vested interest into those wellness type programs, which really a lot of times employees value as well, because it's showing that you're taking a stock and you care about what their health is, and ultimately it becomes a win-win for the organization as well. And then again, cooperative needs to take ownership and control of their health care. So we can do this through a variety of ways, but basically what this gets to is that we need the organizations that are a part of this to be engaged and to take ownership of it. Because really, the way Gallagher approaches this with these cooperatives is not that this is not our cooperative. You can go out and hire any consultant to essentially run this after it's up and running. Our approach is that it's your baby, right? This is for you, and we just sit alongside it to give you advice on what other organizations do, how people structure it, that kind of guidance. So considerations, some of the things that we've been talking about already. Data collection, census review, that's huge. It's the biggest thing that is going to allow me and Gallagher to go to our partners, our carriers, and say, look how attractive this group is. Here's why I essentially need all the ammo I can have to go to bat and say, here's why you need to price this competitively, have our internal underwriters review it so that they know what to say to the partners that we're going to work with. And the more employees we have in this, the more we can say this is an attractive offering. Carrier vendors, again, it's one of those things that the bigger you get, the more openness you have to working with some of the vendors that you probably have a preference with. Some of our organizations do, or some of our cooperatives, I should say, do leave it open, right? Where you have, I said the EBC has Blue Cross Blue Shield. Some of our organizations have a choice, right? Where ABC district wants to use Humana. Okay, Humana's in the pool; they're an option. That's fine. XYZ wants to use United Healthcare. We can leave it open like that if we get that size threshold that we need. Current and desired benefit level, funding arrangements. I talked about that a little bit before. That's essentially setting up a trust or MIWA type of association versus going to the insurance company and saying we want a discount off your manual filed rates with the state of Illinois by X% because we have this size threshold that we can review. Current desired benefit levels. Again, this is something that we leave open to the organization to decide, do we want everybody to have their own plan? One of the pros, increases flexibility. One of the cons, a little bit more administrative difficulties with that. Or do we want to have some sort of plan options, select from 1 of 4 plans or 5 plans? You can really open it up, but that's one of the things that will help you kind of sort through is what does your current plan look like, what makes sense as far as rolling this out. Collective bargaining conflict shouldn't really be an issue, I don't think, within your organization, but we can certainly address that. Claims data availability. Right now, let's say I'm going to go back to Blue Cross because I'm guessing that most people have Blue Cross. They have a good chunk of the market here, so I'll use that as an example. Blue Cross Blue Shield does not provide any claims data unless you have over 150 employees on your health plan, right? So it makes it very difficult to make decisions without knowing what's going on in your group. The more and more you can get information from the insurance company, the more and more you can address common problems that you have. So let's say you notice within you have access to claims data, you notice within your organization you have a lot of employees that are using highly expensive prescription drugs. Then you can roll out a communication campaign to drive down costs to say, here are some generic alternatives to the designer drugs that you're using. Okay, so the more information we get from insurance companies, the better we can tackle the whole nut and say, this is everything that we want to get to. Here's where our costs are coming in at. Extent of pooling experience, most people here, I think, are on board with the concept and understand it and everything. We just want to make sure that communication is rolled out to everybody that kind of joins in. They understand what they're kind of signing up for and in the way that this thing would be structured. And lastly, the administration. That's something that Gallagher helps out with as well with the SBAC once this thing's more up and running to say, here's what the renewals look like, here's where our underwriters are pricing this thing for next year. Because that becomes another one of the nice things about this is, right now, if you're a small group, if you're a small group health plan or if you're an individual plan, you don't know what your costs are going to necessarily be 6 months out, right? 30, 60 days before you get your increase, before your increase is effective, you kind of get a letter from the insurance company, right, that says, all right, your costs are going to go up X%. And then it's, oh, great, I budgeted for 15% and it went up 33. What do I do now? And you kind of have to back into that number. When you have a big group like this, you become more credible throughout the year. Right? The EBC example I gave you has a July 1 renewal. We sit down with all the groups in February and say this is where it's probably going to come in at, so they know and they can budget for it. It becomes a big thing, obviously, for a lot of the people making decisions within the organization to say, all right, we have time to plan. We don't need to make any rash decisions. We can talk to our employees about what they're most interested in as far as backing into some sort of change that you need to make. Okay, we talked about this, contribution structures, plan design, flexibility, retiree participation. Can you guys show of hands, do any of you have retirees on a health plan right now? No? Okay. That becomes something that we can address as well. If you have a lot of people, let's say you have a group of, again, I'm going to say 10 employees on your plan, 3 of them are of Medicare age. What happens is those employees have Medicare as a secondary and your plan as the primary, right? So it can cost a lot of money. We can address some of those issues by offering Medicare subsidy type plans as well. Legality, I'm in a room with a lot of attorneys, so I'm not going to speak on that too much. Procurement requirements, commitment, and political nature of this are all kind of considerations that we help organizations walk through. So, key elements to start the process: 10 or more employers, 1,000 to 2,000 employee lives committed. So again, the more and more number of participants we can get on that census, the easier it becomes for me to go back to the insurance company and say, here's the group that we have. If I bring them a list of 600 organizations and say, or 600 people on a census and say, here's the group, they're going to say, well, yeah, but you're going to get some people that aren't going to ultimately take it because it's a little bit more expensive than what they're paying right now. So let's figure that 50% of these people aren't going to ultimately take this plan. So really, you have a group of 300. That's not enough to do something with. So the more and more we can get up to that even more to that 2,000 threshold will be beneficial, so that we can roll out more options to all the members. So an employer philosophical consistency with cooperative objectives. I spoke to this a little bit before, but again, just knowing that this is not meant to be a silver bullet 1 year fix to a 36% rate increase. It's meant to be a sustainable approach to managing your healthcare cost. Tolerance for risk assumption. One of the things that I spoke to earlier was this kind of fully insured nature that you're in right now. You pay your rates based on what the insurance company tells you, and then what we're going to pay for the claims that come in. A lot of people get a little scared about the paying for what you're incurring because it's not set. I will tell you that the bigger you get, the more credible you are. It's less risky to kind of go to that more pay what you incur type of arrangement. And what that does is lower some fixed costs for you as well. Okay, so we can kind of walk through with the SBAC and say, here's what the different levels are at based on how risk averse the organizations are within this entity. Here's how far down the spectrum we want to go. Because again, it becomes one of those things that Gallagher will never, and people have heard of cooperatives probably falling apart in the past, and a a lot of times what happens there is there's a consultant that's out there that says, I'm going to set this up. They don't put the right risk parameters in place, right? They put a specific stop loss, essentially like reinsurance for your employees, level too high, or let's say $200,000, because it's cheaper, it has lower fixed costs, it looks attractive on the front end, but then you have a lot of employees that kind of run through that, and you are underwater on your pool, right? So since we have so much experience working with cooperatives like this, we've never set something up that you're going to be at risk for, but even within a manageable risk level, there's a wide variety of options that you have.